Today we're going to talk about adding and subtracting polynomials. So just a little bit of a refresher on what a polynomial is. So when we have just a number, that's called a constant. When we only have one term, like 6x, we have a monomial. Mono would mean one, so we only have one term. So a polynomial, we have multiple terms. So now we're going to start adding powers. So it could be a quadratic like this, where we have an x squared as our biggest number, okay? It could be a x to the fifth. Okay, it doesn't matter how many terms it has, it doesn't matter what the highest power is, but it just has many terms. Those are polynomials. A polynomial written in standard form means it goes from the highest power to the lowest power. So that would be like 6x to the fourth plus 3x to the third minus 2x squared plus 5x minus 10. Okay, it goes from the highest power to the lowest power. The highest power tells us a lot that we're going to get into. You'll see a lot more of this in Algebra 2. But what we're going to focus on today is just adding and subtracting these polynomials together. So these are just some of the definitions that you might start hearing. So when we add and subtract polynomials together, you're really just combining like terms. So when we're adding, let's say we have the polynomial 2x squared minus 4x plus 13. And we're going to add the polynomial 8x squared minus 5x plus 10. Okay, so when we're adding, it's not too bad because you're just combining your like terms. So some people like to rewrite this without the parentheses and some people don't. It's personal preference. So if I write this without the parentheses, I'm going to think I'm adding like terms. So what things are alike? I'm going to start with my highest powers. So my highest power is squared. So I have a 2x squared here and an 8x squared here. 2 plus 8 would be 10x squared. Okay, so I'm going to highlight those. Then I'm going to go to my next power, which is just an x or a 1 as the power. I'm going to underline those. So I have a negative 4x and a negative 5x. Negative 4x plus negative 5x would be negative 9x. And then I'm going to box my constants. That would be 13 and 10. 13 plus 10 would be plus 23. It's in standard form, highest power to lowest power. So this would be my answer. Now, when you're subtracting, it's a little bit different. There's just one step that you have to remember. Okay, so if we have this problem, when we have that minus sign between these two, I like to think of it almost as distributing that negative 1 to everything after it, because a lot of people lose track of what sign they're supposed to be doing. So what I do is as soon as I see it's a minus, I make this a 1 and then I distribute that negative. So negative 1 times 12 would be negative 12x squared. Negative 1 times 3 would be minus 3x. Negative 1 times negative 5 would be plus 5. Then I bring down my entire first polynomial. And then I can combine my like terms again. So to combine my like terms, I have my highest power is a 9x to the third. I'm going to box it. It doesn't have anyone to go with, so I'm just going to bring it down. My next highest power is a x squared. It doesn't have anyone to go with either, so I'm just going to bring it down. My next highest power is a 1, so we have negative 4x and negative 3x. Negative 4x plus negative 3x would be minus 7x. And then I have my constants, 10 plus 5, so plus 15. And there's your answer. Okay, so you're combining like terms. Just be careful with that negative. If you have a minus sign and you're subtracting, make sure you distribute your negative all the way through it.